Alright, welcome back. Okay, so here comes our next tutorial over here, and what we're going to do is we're going to talk about libraries and lists and go a little bit further. Actually, we're going to be talking more about libraries, and what we really want to do is just see, okay, what is a library, how do we use it, and whatever else. Now earlier, I've given a couple of definitions of libraries. I've called them more specialized forms of list. So essentially, lists are, essentially what you have to understand is that everything is a list. But sometimes we need a more specialized form of a list. So something by being more specialized, maybe it's just saving one particular thing, or it's made to save one particular type, like a PowerPoint. Yeah, it's just made to store PowerPoints, and by being able to store PowerPoints, it's got all the functionality of PowerPoints too, like being able to broadcast certain things and whatever else. Or maybe it stores Microsoft Word documents, and by being able to do that, it basically supports a bunch of the functionality in Word. That's what I mean whenever I say library. So it's still a list. Don't get confused. A library is a list. All lists are libraries, but libraries are more specialized forms of list. So let's go through and let's go ahead and actually see this in practice and whatever else, and probably come over here and actually create a library. So the first thing I'm going to do over here is I'm going to come back, and I'm going to click on Site Actions, and then go back to More Options. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to click on Library. Okay, now in our library, once I get over there, I've got 8 types of libraries. Well, actually, I'm sorry about that. 10 types of libraries that are actually available. And I'm going to go ahead and explain what each one of these means. First, I've got an asset library. Okay, asset library. Think of this for whenever you want to store graphics. This sort of library is specialized for audio, video, high-end pictures, those sorts of things. It's got functionality that you can go ahead and add to it just for being able to efficiently store these sorts of things. Then you've got data connection library. All right, now this is going to be the type of library that you can use for actually storing connections to databases and other sorts of places that actually store data and require usernames and passwords. Then you've got this data feed library over here. Let me click right over here for a second. This is where you can go ahead and actually share data. So this is kind of interesting because what you can do is you can use what's called a data service to be able to share documents, and also to be able to publish information out. You've got a document library. This is probably the most common form of library of them all. So this basically allows you to work with the doc type, or the Microsoft Word type, plus other types, but specializes especially in the Word type. And this is where you get a bunch of functionality. This is probably our most common one, actually. Form library. All right. So this is going to be for storing InfoPath forms. You have not seen Powerful until you've seen SharePoint's InfoPath forms. Picture library. You got it. Store pictures. And some people are like, wait, what's the difference between that and asset library? Well, a picture library kind of allows you to actually display, to not only be able to store pictures, but also it's got special properties that allow for you to essentially be able to do things like display photo galleries and whatever else out of the box. Then you end up with the Power Pivot library right over here. So this is where you can actually use Power Pivot. Now Power Pivot's extremely powerful. No, that sounded almost like a tongue twister or something. But here's the idea. What if you wanted to be able to access information, create dynamic reports, and have little mini data systems right on your desktop using Excel? Thank you. Welcome to Power Pivot. Very important for those of you who do business intelligence. Very, very important, because it gives people the ability to be able to work with data, and particularly to be able to work with data on the self-service business intelligence level, which means essentially that you get to bypass many of the trips that you would need, many of the trips to the IT department, and directly produce data on demand. Notice I said many, not all. Report library. Now, report library comes over here, and this is where you can actually display SQL Server reports, or something that works with SQL Server reporting services. Very, very handy for being able to display this. Slide library, as you guys can see over here, is going to allow you to display PowerPoint slides and things like that. So extremely powerful also. And then finally, you ever want to make your own little wiki or something like that, like say you have a need for that or whatever else. This is a wiki page library, which is known for that. Mainly, one of the nice things, I guess, about it is that it's highly customizable. But it really allows you to set up some essential web pages that basically contain the content themselves. So what's happening now is your web page is actually the content, rather than a Word document or a picture or a PowerPoint slide or whatever else, like on some of the other libraries. So those are your forms of libraries right there, the 10. I didn't mean to kill you, but I had to explain what they all meant, and you guys will also see that within the documentation for the course, where I basically go through and explain what all those are. And having said that, let's go ahead and talk about a few things and just see what we can do with the library. So what I want to do first is I'm going to go ahead and actually create a library here. So I'm going to click on Document Library in this particular case. And then on Document Library, I'm going to call it our Example Library. And then I'm going to click Create. So here I've just done a Document Library template. Okay, now once I get over there, once again, there we've got all of our options and whatever else. So we've got an example library, and you name it. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and use this for what it's meant for. See, the document library, like I said, excels, especially at Word documents, but really Excel documents. I mean, you can store anything that you want in there. It's just that it's got special types of functionality for handling certain types of Office types. So let me show you. Here I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to create a Word document. So all programs, Microsoft Office, and let's say Microsoft Word 2010. I let Word come up. And now I'm going to go ahead and type something in here just so I can do something. I mean, anything. This is the original, let's say over here, stored Word document. There we go. Now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to go File and just save it on the desktop so that way I can find and remember where it is. And I'm going to click Save. There we go. Okay, so now I've got this on the desktop right over here, and let me continue with the next step. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on Add Document. And then I'm going to click Browse. And let that browse just for a second. There we go. Sometimes the virtual machine here can be a little slower. In that case, I just patiently wait. There we go. And now I'm going to click Desktop. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to actually upload this document. So I choose a Word document. I click Open. And I click OK. Now, this was extremely powerful. Let me explain why. Any Office document that we make, or any document really, once it's stored in here, it goes into a SharePoint database. We don't have to worry anymore about information being lost, about he said, she said, where did the document go sort of things, or about email tracking. Email tracking, right? Going through a string of 20 different emails to find a document. At this point right here, we've now got our Word document, and this is very powerful. So what you see over here is that now we've got the Word document, but watch this. I'm going to come down to the Word document, and when I right click over here, notice that I can, or left click, I'm sorry, over here on the ECB menu. This is called the ECB menu right over here when I do the little down arrow. Watch me come over here, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on View in Browser. Now let me show you why this is so important, especially in today's day of, many different systems, Android, Apples, whatever else, you name it, and people still needing to consume Office documents and needing to consume, needing to consume the content. View in Browser makes it possible to where it will actually display in a browser. So now the only thing you need is a browser that actually supports SharePoint. That's it. See, View in Browser now renders it, so what's happening in this particular case is we've just rendered this document through Internet Explorer. This is not Word at this stage. This is Internet Explorer running it. That's SharePoint for you, and that's amazing. Imagine how much time that would take to code inside of a custom web application. It used to take a real long time. At this stage, it doesn't take so long anymore, but still, it's not the easiest thing to do. This is built in, and you see what's happened now is that the document is actually stored inside of a database. So extremely powerful over here. Extremely, extremely powerful. Now, could we have added columns and things like that? Yep, we sure could have. But that's for another tutorial. For over here, guys, what I want you guys to see is this is the document in the browser. Now, let me just click back for a moment. So we've seen now how to actually add a document inside the browser. We've seen how to actually create a new document. We can, or we haven't seen yet, but let me show you something else too. We can even create a new document from here. So what I can do is, coming over here, rather than just adding a document, if I wanted to, I want you guys to notice I can click on Documents over here. So I click on Documents. Then I come down and I click on New Document. And then when I click on New Document, there we go, I get a little warning. Let me click OK. It's going to allow me to just launch a document right there. Now this